just being a mom and getting information about this topic gave me a lot of peace of mind, calm my anxieties as a new mom.
Yeah.
And actually, my baby slept perfectly since she was like
Wow.
10 weeks old. When a parent is present, it actually decreases the stress response in the baby. That's going to help them develop self-soothing skills that are going to help them relax and drift off to sleep.
Today, I will be interviewing Alejandra Zuniga to learn about what it's like to be a sleep coach. So, Alejandra, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Miranda. I'm glad to
Of
be
course.
here.
Of course. So, let's go ahead and get started. Here at the Job Dictionary, we like starting off with three kind of rapid fire questions. So, Alejandra, in your own words, what do you do? Where do you live? And as a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So, okay, what I do? I am a pediatric sleep specialist. So I specifically work with kids from since they're born until they're 5 years old,
Okay.
and um, about their sleep. Right, these kids are having some kind of sleep issue that their parents are trying to work on.
Okay.
I live in Houston, Texas, but I am originally from Peru. My
Okay.
husband and
Cool.
I moved to Texas in 2019. And so back then, when I was a kid, I actually didn't know anything about sleep, pediatric sleep, and this world I discovered later on.
Cool.
I actually went to school for business. So I went to
Oh,
business
wow.
school and I was working in customer service for 10
Okay.
years before I started working with kids.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you got into being a sleep specialist and how long you've been.
Yeah. So it all started when I became a mom. So this
Okay.
world, as a new mom, I didn't know a lot about anything about newborn care actually. So
Yeah.
I started to prepare myself, ask, my mom, like how was back then. And I'm a twin. I have a twin
Oh,
sister.
wow.
So my
Cool.
mom had a lot of like sleepless nights,
Yeah.
right? But still she actually like she said I don't really remember what I learned there. Everything was taught
Yeah.
by her pediatrician. So I started just getting information from
Okay.
doctors. I took classes
Yeah.
to prepare for childbirth and newborn care. So I discovered this whole world and new studies and things that um, were different from what they
Okay.
were back then
Yeah.
when I was born, right? So different recommendations because there are new discoveries and things like that. So just I think just being a mom and getting information about this topic gave me a lot of peace of mind, calm my anxieties as a new mom.
Yeah.
And actually my baby slept perfectly since she was like
Wow.
10 weeks old.
That's great.
So yeah, I was like, I really got informed about it. And then after that, having a baby at 10 weeks sleeping so well, people started asking, and I was in all these mom groups on
Mhm.
Facebook, and people were asking, hey, what do I do? I'm desperate. So I started helping other moms from my own experience
Okay.
and giving them advice that actually worked, for them. And that made
Yeah.
me so happy that I realized that I wanted a wanted to pursue that as a career. And as a new mom, I also didn't want to go back to the corporate world.
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah.
more time with my kids. So this opened the door for me to be able to
Mhm.
work my own hours and but all still have an income source, right? So
Yeah.
I went to I got a certification, and in 2021, because that was 2019 when I have my baby, in 2021, I finished my studies. I got my
Okay.
certification. And in 2022, I opened my own practice as a gentle sleep coach is a
Okay.
certification I have.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. And now, specifically for sleep specialists or sleep coaches, are there specific specialties that you can go into? I know that you
Mhm.
specialize in pediatric sleeping, but what about other kinds?
Well, actually, that I specialize in behavior sleep. behavioral sleep.
Okay.
So there's also
Okay.
the medical,
Oh,
side
okay.
of it. So there's a lot of sleep issues that come from an underlying problem, like, I don't know, sleep apnea,
Okay.
and that can be sleeping through the night since an early age, like my daughter at 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and also my certification as a gentle sleep coach, as the name refers, is trying to minimize crying, is
Okay.
a respectful approach,
Okay.
parent present approach, and not letting the baby cry like it used to happen in the old days,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
years ago. Pediatricians and specialists recommended just, let your baby cry and they'll
Yeah.
learn to sleep. This is a different approach where you actually, you know, when the parent is present, it actually decreases the stress response in the baby.
Mm.
So that's gonna help them develop self-soothing skills that are gonna help them relax and drift off to sleep.
Oh, cool. And do you know if it exists for like adults, if sleep coaches exist?
Yes, they
Yeah.
are sleep coaches for sleep.
Mm.
Actually, I know a great one that specializes in women. So if you
Oh,
wanna
wow.
like maybe talk to them, I'll be happy
Yeah.
to
Cool.
make an introduction. But yes,
Thank
for
you.
adults also, because adults have different issues, right?
Hmm.
Caffeine and screens,
Stress. Yeah.
stress,
Yeah.
exactly. Hmm.
Cool. And so now kind of transitioning into your daily life and your tasks, what does your schedule look like? What does it look like when you work with babies or with families? What does
Hmm.
a day in your life look like?
So, the good part about this is that I can make my own schedule. So I can have a full day of calls because I mostly work online. I
Okay.
do go sometimes to some a client's house, but mostly I'm just like you and me having a
Yeah.
conversation online.
Wow. Okay.
So I offer 90-minute sessions. So for 90 minutes, we talk about a kid, and then we work up on a specific plan that's going to help
Hmm.
the baby or the child sleep better, right? And then we have follow-ups the next week, or it really depends on the family how many
Cool.
follow-ups we have. But some days I can have one call, other days I can have three. So it really
Okay.
depends on uh, how open my schedule is, right? Because
Okay.
other than the sessions that I have online with the clients, I also like to write articles and update my blog, and
Okay.
keep keep myself training for more information. Like last week
Okay.
I was in a conference, so I spent 4 days
Okay.
in a conference last week. I didn't have
Oh,
any clients until
yeah.
Friday. um but just also to keep my certification every year, I have to have a certain amount of hours of training,
Okay. Okay.
additional training. So sometimes every week I have like I separate one day so I can have 1 or 2 hours of extra training.
Okay.
And but the good part is, again, that I am able to arrange my schedule
Yeah.
as needed. Hmm.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you don't usually go to client houses. When would you go to a client's house?
It really depends, because I work with families all over the US.
Yeah.
So that will be remote. But if they
Okay.
are if they're local and they prefer that, and not actually for younger children, for like babies, newborns,
Mhm.
it's actually more helpful to go and see, the
Yeah.
routines, and
Yeah.
sometimes getting to know the baby helps um, to make a more, like a even more tailored plan for the
Yeah.
baby, right? Because when we are talking, I have to make a lot of questions, but
Hmm.
sometimes it's just what parents tell me, but I'm not
Yeah.
seeing. So it is
Yeah.
helpful, but most people, just because of time constraints, they're working.
Mm.
It's easier for them to have
Mm.
a remote session.
Yeah. And so now what topics does someone have to be really interested in order to enjoy being a sleep coach?
I think child development, you really need
Okay.
to to know about children. I know a lot of people that are some kind of, for example, nurses, right?
Yeah.
Registered nurses that have been working with children. They're interested in sleep, so they pursue this as a career also, or to just to add to their training, right?
Right.
When people know about prenatal health, every like perinatal health, even prenatal or postpartum health, uh, they also get interest in you know pediatric sleep because it's part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
perinatal health for
Yeah.
mom and for the family.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so now building off of that into specific skills and knowledge, are there like truly required degrees or certifications in order to become a sleep coach?
Um, there are certifications like the one I have from
Yeah,
that. This is the Gentle Sleep Company
sleep coach.
that
Okay.
offer the Gentle Sleep Coach certification. But there are
Okay.
others, like the Sleep Institute have their own certifications.
Okay.
Most of them work now with this gradual approach, but each one is different. So if you were interested
Hmm.
in pursuing this, I would go and knock on everyone's door to see if that specific approach is the one that you like.
Okay.
They will give you, if you don't have previous training on child development, you will get
Yeah.
that from them.
Okay.
They will, for example, in my certification, I had to, every week I learned something different about child development, and then the architecture of sleep, and then how that translate in the habits that are healthy for fostering a
Yeah.
quality sleep. But basically, no, I mean, I didn't have any previous training. I
Okay.
read a lot of books. I did for the certification. They recommend a lot of books also,
Okay.
about pediatric sleep and a lot of things that I related. And you keep, as I said, you keep training in new
Yeah.
findings and things that will help you, understand more
Yeah.
um, about their sleep and why, or there will be any underlying conditions. Also, they train you on how to detect those red flags,
Yeah.
to know that they might be something else going on other
Yeah.
than
That's
just
cool.
their schedule. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now what natural strengths or talents does someone have to have in order to be a good sleep coach?
I think listening skills,
Okay.
just being able to really listen what the parents need,
Okay.
because these are families that are, you know, having no sleep maybe in months,
Yeah.
and they're kind of desperate. And sometimes, mom and dad have different opinions. So you have to be really able to listen to both parts,
Hmm.
mom, dad, everyone involved, and offer relatable advice, no judgment for the
Yeah.
parents, right? And
Yeah.
being really, I don't know, I guess relatable,
Okay.
approachable,
Yeah.
humble,
Yeah. Yeah.
to want to really understand the person. So that
Yeah.
would be really, I think, the most important one. Hmm.
Yeah. And what tools, technologies, or maybe softwares do you see that you use a lot as part of your job?
Well, basically, just right now I'm just using Zoom.
Okay.
I do have some like Excel sheets that sometimes I share with the parents just to
Okay.
work together, with some information. But basically, we just talk on Zoom. I don't
Yeah.
need anything else.
Yeah.
Or my website, to sign up the clients and for the
Yeah.
bookings. But other than that, really, it's more of a conversation, because
Mhm.
if you discover some underlying issue, you would refer them to a specialist, and
Yeah.
then
Okay.
they will
And
take
now,
care of it.
yeah. And so we talked about conferences, but what are some other ways that you stay kind of updated with what's happening in the field?
Well, um, there's a lot of institutions, but for me specifically, like the NIH, for example, they publish a lot of research and new studies
Okay.
that are coming up lately.
Yeah.
So just to keep up on what's going on the sleep world, but also we have, as a gentle sleep coach, we have a like a community of sleep coaches, and there's
Okay.
people that are also sending, relevant articles, and hey, look at this. This is something you should keep, give a little read, and they will also keep us updated.
Okay.
Also the trainings that I have to take every
Okay.
year,
Yeah.
they're new trainings, so there's always ways to find new
Yeah.
things to keep you informed.
And so now as a sleep coach, what's your favorite or most, or what part is the most interesting to you?
The most interesting is just, I think, just getting to know how different some families are.
Yeah.
Even though we're in the same community, it's different. People have different values, people have different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You see parents that are more anxious than others, more others are more flexible,
Yeah.
and you need to find different ways to to really reach them and offer them advice that is tailored to them,
Yeah.
right? Because I can work
Yeah.
with two different families that have the same issue, but their plans are completely different. So that's what
Yeah.
makes it interesting, and that's why it's not like a cookie cut plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tailored that to the family,
Yeah.
based on their values, their dynamics, their schedules.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
cool. And so now on the flip side, what parts are hard, emotionally challenging, or maybe not so fun?
Well, sometimes you get some kind of not hard, but more difficult than others,
Yeah.
cases,
Yeah.
and you need to spend more time with the parents. You want them to succeed. You want everyone to
Yeah.
succeed, but some people need more, like a little bit um more pressure, like
Mm-hmm.
you need to push them a little bit for them to open up and like really listen to your advice. But that's just some cases. It's really like, if you really like what you do, I don't find any cases like really, really difficult. Just that
Okay.
sometimes you need to find other ways to talk to those different personalities that you encounter sometimes.
And how often do you meet with families?
Okay, so it really depends on the
Okay.
family. Sometimes I just see
Okay.
them once. Other
Okay.
times I see them weekly for 2, 3 months.
Okay.
Other times I see them once a month.
Interesting.
Yes, so it really
Yeah.
depends on the case and
Okay.
and what the parent needs. So for example, the weekly follow-ups, that would be like a really not a difficult case, but a family that really needs the support.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so you meet them every week to see if they're having, improvements. If not, okay,
Okay.
what do we change? And then for the ones we meet once a month, is mostly them wanting to just make sure they're doing things good, okay,
Yeah.
right? And that
Yeah.
the baby's is gonna keep going in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it depends on the family.
Okay. And so what do people underestimate about being a sleep coach?
I feel like parents um are not. I don't think if this is from underestimation, but I think that there's a lot of information out there. You
Okay.
can Google things like, how do I
Right.
get my baby to sleep, right? And you're
Yeah.
gonna find so much information that sometimes is contradictory.
Okay.
So I think they're hesitant at first to hire a sleep coach because they think they can handle it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the end, they end up hiring when they're really desperate.
Okay.
So I think I,
Yeah.
I wish parents would, have a session with a sleep coach, ask their questions, and like really have answers from an expert rather than the internet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so are there any busy seasons in this job? And if so, which ones are they?
There are no busy seasons because baby
Okay.
sleep, it
Yeah.
depends. Sometimes after the summer or the holidays, you see um, regressions. in
Okay.
babies because people travel
Yeah.
and routines are changed at up
Yeah.
to some point. But no, in this case, no, because babies, they're born at any
All year
time of
round.
year. So it really depends on the baby.
And so now from my research, I had to Google what the average salary was for a sleep coach. And it says that it is about 41,000. Now it might be different for you since you have your own
Hmm.
company, but what do you think about that number? Is it accurate or not?
I think it is,
Okay,
but I also think that you can make a lot more
more.
because
Yeah.
it really depends on how many sessions you have. Right now, I don't think or I don't know of a company that offers like a yearly compensation. Is
Okay.
more based on appointments.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
for example, right now I have my own clients, but I also work for a maternity center here in Houston. So
Okay.
I work with them, so they with their clients, right? Some months I don't have any clients from them. Other months I do. I also work from a for a build like a telehealth clinic.
Okay. Wow.
So sometimes I have some sessions from them. So it could go up,
Okay.
but I think if you it really depends on how you manage your bookings and how many sessions you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And so now this kind of connects to my other question, but is sleep coaching just a freelance job, or are there companies that look for sleep coaches, and what companies would those be?
Hmm. Well, yeah, as I was saying, these companies,
Yeah.
perinatal related, or even pediatricians. Sometimes you can work with a pediatrician, right?
Yeah.
Can have a, a sleep coach as a resource.
Mhm.
There's these clinics, like a telehealth clinic that offers. The one I work with is they offer a lot of perinatal related services from
Okay.
fertility to pediatrics and beyond.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
sleep being one of them, right? So
Yeah.
I work with them as a third party provider, but not,
Mhm.
as I said, I'm not hired by them
Okay.
yearly. It's just more contract and
Yeah.
from, yes, case by
Yeah.
case.
Okay. And so now, how have you seen the industry change since you started, and how do you see it evolve in maybe 5 to 10 years?
Since I started, I feel that I've seen more sleep coaches or
Okay.
more certifications that are offered out there. But so I think there are more sleep coaches now that they were
Okay.
before. People are
Okay.
hearing more about sleep coaches. And I think where it's going is that there are gonna be companies like, for example, if I wanted to grow my company and hire more consultants, to work
Yeah.
for the same company. I think we're gonna start seeing more of that, and not just
Okay.
uh, you know, w- just
Yeah.
one coach
Yeah.
with families, and even maybe other kinds of services provided, the
Mhm.
sleep, maybe nutrition for kids, and
Yeah.
it could be more of a rounded um, service that
Yeah. Then
just sleep.
just sleep. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so now, what do you recommend that candidates that are interested in becoming sleep coaches do to set themselves apart from maybe other sleep coaches?
Great question. To set apart, for example, one hard part for me as a sleep coach is because it's my own company, I also have to have the business side covered,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And so if you have experience running a company or knowing how companies work, marketing now is different than from what I learned, 20
Yeah.
years ago in college.
Yeah.
Right now, there's social media is like, you have to be there, and AI is gonna,
Yeah.
also change things.
Yeah.
So if you know about that, it's gonna be easy for you to get clients, right?
Yeah.
Also, just being not necessarily an extrovert, but having those networking skills,
Mhm.
don't not being afraid to go out there and present yourself as a sleep coach
Yeah.
and getting to know the pediatricians and the companies that you can partner with.
Okay.
That's also a good skill to have.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And so now we've kind of touched on this, but what are some books or resources, maybe programs or courses that you would recommend our listeners look into if they want to be sleep coaches?
I would start just reading books about different sleep training methods. For
Okay.
example, there's one, Good Night Sleep Tight from Kim
Okay.
West. That's one method. There's
Okay.
another, the Pick Up Put Down method. There's Ferber. So there's specific types of different methods. And so if you read a lot of those,
Yeah.
you can get familiar with what's out there, and that's how you
Okay.
can know what kind of certification you have, right?
Yeah.
If you actually know. There's another book called Moms on Call, for example, that offers a completely different method that I use. It's
Okay.
the opposite of, the approach
Oh,
is
wow.
completely opposite, but
Okay.
so it's good to read it, just to know
Yeah.
that it's out there, and some parents actually read that book and want to follow that approach.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
exactly. So just getting to know all of those methods it's good, I think.
Yeah. And so now if you could talk to your younger self when you were first getting started as a sleep coach, what would you tell her?
I would say keep doing it. You love this, and just keep
And
doing it.
so now where can people reach out to you or maybe even follow along your work?
So if everyone can follow me on Instagram, it's easy.nights.
Okay.
But the best way to get in touch directly with me is it's on LinkedIn, actually. So
Okay.
it's Alejandra Zuniga, just my name.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
can send me a message just like you did,
Yeah.
because I'm more active there
Okay.
on LinkedIn if you want to like a direct message to me.
Okay. And we'll make sure to link those and tag you on this podcast
Right.
when it gets posted. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's all that we have for today. So thank you so much for joining me and for giving all of your insight.
Thank you, Miranda. I hope I help, other
You did.
other kids to
Yeah.
figure out that maybe that this is something they want to do, and I'd be happy
Yeah.
to talk to them if they have questions.
Of course. Thank you.
You just got one episode closer to learning about the world of jobs out there. To explore the rest of our career categories and find your best fit, go to jobdictionary.com to sign up for the beta users waitlist. Then subscribe here to find the next episodes coming out this week. And as always, drop us a comment, review, or message to let us know how we can better attune our episodes to your specific needs. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Threads, Pinterest, and wherever else you're on socials to go get our short, snappy preview reels that expose you to new job options every day. Because here at Job Dictionary, we believe your big aha moment can be just one scroll away. Go check it out and get out there. Cheers!